Here we go. Ian, he's taking his shoes off. He's getting serious now in this series.
Well, what is he putting on, though? Where are his carry pants, and what champion do they wear onto is the question that we're looking for here. I didn't have a good segue for that. One thing we can say is that, interesting, on the blue side of Galio ban, BDD was one of our resident Galios in summer season last year, but not interested in seeing that in this game. Gangplank banned away as well, so some scaling and some early game banned away by Kingzone. And, well, let's Operation Deny BDD, his signature picks, is enacted by Ian.
I like it. I don't blame him at all. Right, Rascal, you don't necessarily have to ban him out. Peanut, he's probably going to play Kha'Zix anyway, so whatever. You might as well ban out BDD. Yeah,
it's been 7 games so far with BDD. 6 of them were Ryze or Azir, so only a Cassio game against Ryze in the first series for Champion Pool here, and oh boy. Goodbye, Sion. Take that, ADD.
Fighting fire with fire. The only player that did half of anything on the side of MVP. They ban out his one pick. Ezreal also going to be banned out away from Prey.
First pick Sejuani is very likely here, even for Peanut, who in the Cinderhulk meta, it felt like his one Cinderhulk champion he really loved was going to be the Sejuani, and probably going to be fleet footwork on the Sejuani to allow him to do his best Umpty impression and be a bit aggressive on that pick. Now on to MVP, who flashed Illaoi and say, hey, remember this? We do. Wasn't that great? The Vladimir is going to be up as well, though, so Vladimir could be considered.
Oh.
I wonder where Vlad will go in this draft, because it's very unlikely to go unpicked and unbanned. Could be a second-round ban if no one wants to go there. And we were a bit surprised when Ezreal was prized by MVP over Kog'Maw, so can't be surprised they lock it in.
Perhaps the number 2 in their minds behind the Ezreal. Maybe they just didn't want to first pick the Kog'Maw.
I think this Kalista Braum here is pretty happy times for the side of Kingzone.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Could also be that Gorilla wants to get frisky and try something else. Bit
like,
bored.
Let's have some fun today. Play something that's not Braum every single game.
Gorilla is one of those players that goes very streaky. I think back to 2016 Rocks Tigers, and he was something like 18-1 on Alistar in a season because he just kept picking Alistar whenever it was up. Not going to wait till the second round. And interestingly, with Vladimir open, we see the Camille prized over it. Camille can outplay Vladimir and potentially all-in him at different parts of the laning phase, but we haven't seen the matchup in the LCK just yet. And Ornn as a flex pick, going to be locked in by MVP. Banning away Braum would be very smart here, MVP. Free advice. I could take off my headset and let them know just in case. Please ban Braum.
Think they need it?
I mean, they should really ban Braum.
I think they probably know at this point. Perhaps a second ban.
If they don't ban it first, I'll go in there. There's no rules against it. Hey, they found the Braum ban.
There you go. Took them a little while. Well, maybe Rascal wants to gain back some dignity after losing the Illaoi versus Sion matchup, and he's like, okay, go ahead, pick whatever you want into my Camille. I'm going to win.
Could ban the Vladimir here on blue side if they want, although ADD doesn't strike me as a Vladimir-style laner. He has played it once this season, but not to, obviously, a winning extent. His only repeat champion he's played this season was a Sion in Game 1. Otherwise, he had losses on Gangplank, Vlad, Illaoi, Gnar, and Ornn. So he's trying whatever he can to help out his team, but whether personally or as a team ethos, they haven't been able to make those picks work. And a second flex ban, but probably at the support here. Banning away the Shen from Gorilla, who was playing quite a bit of it in solo queue recently.
Shen support. It's basically all you see nowadays. You don't see it up in the top lane. Kind of sad. I like that Shen top, you know, Smeb's Shen play up there really made it a key pick for the top lane. We're going to see Tahm Kench banned away by the side of Kingzone this time around.
And I'd love to see Zoe locked in and a pick other than Azir taken into it by BDD. Another bit of a learning excursion for us about matchups against the Zoe would be very fruitful, but we'll see what MVP wants to do. Counter-picking against him might be smart as well. And okay, I asked for it. Looks like I'm going to receive it.
Yep, you're going to get your wish, Papa.
He outskilled him on the Azir matchup. What's next for BDD? Galio banned away, Malzahar taken away. Ryze also gone. The Alistair I mentioned would be fun, be some initiation. The Unsealed Spellbook Alistair from Gorilla won an MVP earlier in the season. But what is the champion into the Zoe? Is a question we don't know the answer to.
Talia
would be a lot of shove. You can go for
Yeah.
Banshee Veil and feel pretty good about it. In this matchup, was always an old pick on the Talia. Kind of trying to avoid here, but certainly going to be squishy when it comes to the Zoe. So is an old favorite of BDD, whose use of global has always been one of his calling cards. So dips back into the summer champion pool for the Talia, which we haven't necessarily been convinced of as a champion pick in 2018. Let's see if he can make us a believer in this game. Last pick for MVP. They have a draft centered around a Kog'Maw, so why not a support Taric? So a tank matchup in the top side for there to be pretty significant pressure. It could be lane pressure and mid and top side early, so fleet footwork on the Sejuani will allow for some invading plays to slow down beyond. We get to see another matchup. We get to learn more about other Talia matchups, sorry, other Zoe matchups more importantly. But MVP do have strong team fight if we ever get to a 5v5 phase.
All right, they have switched sides, but MVP fans are still here, still screaming their heads off for their team. Feeling pretty happy about their chances in this one. Regardless of if they win or lose, we'll still support them.
It's definitely nice to have that unconditional love and support from your fans, and MVP. A lot of those fans may have been from previous esports and moved over to the MVP org. MVP, of course, was the org that gave us KSV. Samsung Galaxy first was MVP Ozone, and MVP Blue went over to the Samsung name. Samsung White and Blue, very, very famous, and Samsung White considered by a lot of analysts to be the greatest team of all time. I know I'm not a believer in that, but I feel there's a long-form way for me to talk about that one day. But one of the best teams of all time, certainly. And then back into League of Legends through this lineup way back in 2016 spring. So they have been together for 4 professional splits, and this is their 5th. But unfortunately, the synergy in that time doesn't necessarily seem to have been significantly improved. And you say it's more that the roster's creaking along than actually getting stronger, which has unfortunately resulted with them in a 0-7 start here in LCK Spring 2018.
It'd be very sad to, I know I've cast some leagues, not only in this game, but in others, where you have this one team that's just all the way on the bottom, is like 0-8, and it's always sad to talk about it, but kind of have to, as they're still a team that plays and you cast them. But I certainly hope that MVP doesn't turn into the punching bag of LCK 2018.
Oh, bot lane.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a fight. Ignite used level 2, engaged by Gorilla. And yeah, he's pretty low, but he's a Taric.
Didn't have to flash for that one, just headbutt Pulverize into Ignite, even if we missed the beginning onto Max. There was no, none of the minion killing rune there, so it's surprising that they misjudged the level 2 that badly from MVP. Minion dematerializer. I don't actually have a notebook open to know that, I just remembered it.
Yeah. You're just that smart.
No, I
somewhere in the back of your mind, stored forever.
I was trying to reach for it when I was saying the statement and missed it. That's what happens on your 12th best of 3 in a row.
Yeah, you know, sometimes.
Never to you, of course, Valdez. You know every ability by heart.
Oh, yeah, of course.
What's Tristana's passive name?
What?
Tristana's passive. You know Tristana, the AD carry?
No, I haven't seen her in a while. I don't know what you're talking about. I actually don't know the passive.
That's okay. It's a really silly one. It's like,
do you know it?
It's been asked in quizzes before. I do know.
Okay.
It's draw a bead.
Draw a bead?
That's the name of the range increasing passive she has. It's silly. That's why I remember it. But there's plenty I don't know.
You know what would be good in this game is more quizzes, actually.
How many of Sion's abilities can you name?
You're really putting me on the spot here. It's not a champion that gets played very often.
Unstoppable Onslaught, the ultimate, has one of the best names. Roar of the Slayer, the E.
Okay.
Speaking of a Roar of the Slayer.
We got to fight. ADD's trying to be that Slayer, but it should not work out here as Peanut comes to the rescue. And now it is just a sad Mechanical Beast trying to run away. And that's going to be the first blood handed over to Rascal on the Camille up top.
Maybe ADD should have been a little bit more conservative against a lane that took Doran Blade. We haven't seen Doran's Blade top lane in ages. Looked a bit suspicious that he would let so much of his health bar go with only a single potion, but nice pathing from Sejuani. Comes over with the Blast Cone. Easy as you like, and ADD in no man's land halfway up the lane. So not really much to say about there on that one, and Rascal confirmed first blood.
Yeah, by the way, 100% kill contribution as well. Just in case you guys missed that one.
We got a lot of 100% on Spo TV. I'm sure that's just a really nice graphic they had that they used for
the first blood one.
the player overlay, you know, with the graphic and just.
Someone made that and they're like, yeah, we have to use this. So
100%.
Find a way to use it.
You get to look at the choices here for Talia. BDD going to be running Scorch, so no Gathering Storm. And judging on Game 1, that's probably a good choice. Probably not going to go to 3 procs of Gathering Storm on the pace of Game 1. Minion Dematerializer as well.
I think the other rune in that category would be the Water Walking, right?
Free Boots, I think, is there.
No, I mean on Scorch.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Gathering Storm.
Water Walking was in solo queue. A lot of people were messing around with it for a while. I saw Peanut was running it on Lee Sin and Elise for a while, but it fell away for Free Boots. But maybe it's back, given that people are getting more and more on the buying boots hype train. The boots market has seen a lot of fluctuations recently, Valdez.
That it has, especially Maha bringing some new meta in with the Berserker Greaves.
You got to be impressed with the boots market, though, because it sat through, you know, them actually being handed out for free. It survived that.
What is going on here?
It's a mid laner teleporting in.
Okay. That just looked really weird. Because it wasn't into the lane. Just saying, hey, Peanut, I'm here.
I've got terrible news, Valdez. The spellbook is closed for Gorilla. He's gone Aftershock this game.
That's no fun. We don't get any weird teleports up into the top lane when you weren't expecting it.
Prey is allergic to the sorcery tree. Sorry, allergic to the inspiration tree again.
Yeah. We got an engage here, and Max is going to flash. He's got Ignite ticking. That's pretty close to the flash forward. Prey, he's going to get it. Nicely done.
That was the fadeaway right there from Prey. Really nicely done on the back end. Max thought he could return to lane with a bit of sustain. No. First blood to Prey. Longzhu, now King Zone, burst into life.
Nice save there. That was good, you know. We'll remember them as Longzhu for a long time. Rascal, though, getting himself into a bit of trouble, uses his hook shot. Nice dodge there, even while he was slowed, but is forced to flash over the wall.
It does draw out a flash. I think he was trying to put down a bit of scouting, a bit of aggressive warding, and got cleared out. We're going to see the replay here. It started pretty innocuously because we've seen these headbutt pulverized trades a couple of times. Ignite comes on to Max. Rend comes in. He's around 100 health after the Rend is put in. Prey backs away, uses the auto attack jump, taxis it into a flash, and Q. It's beautiful stuff from one of the best 80 carries of all time.
A legend showing off there a little bit in this game. This is his second game of Callista now in a row. He'll take it when it's available.
No Ezreal for him to flex his muscles on.
Yeah.
Kog'Maw preferred by Maha, so Prey accepts his second Callista game of the night and also of the season. He's been away from that pick recently. 2 wins on Ezreal, Caitlyn and Varus, and then the Sivir and Xayah. Haven't picked up a win yet. It's not been a Sivir week. Sivir was, you know, the talk of the town after that big Jin Air game. But
not even from Jin Air. Playing other picks. Bunch of Ezreal out of Teddy.
To his detriment today, you'd have to say.
Even against the Zoe.
Prey's really just pushing up.
Yeah.
Even as his jungler leaves. His support also is roaming up. But just trying to dissuade the blue buff take and allow BDD to fully push in the lane.
BDD has a nice lead in CS in the mid lane. You're talking about how he would like to affect the other lanes. So far, hasn't gone for a roam just yet, but has been winning his lane ever so slightly.
Maha has an unsealed spellbook, so triple on the side of MVP. Trying to make the inspiration tree work for them.
They need a little bit of inspiration, you'd say, right now.
I don't know if the tree's enough, though, Valdez.
Yeah. Even 3, probably not enough.
Gorilla finally pressured into using his ultimate. We know that Peanut is here as well, sitting on most of a Cinderhulk, but probably just going to be disengaged, you'd imagine.
Ooh. I was thinking maybe Peanut would try to engage there, but lots of summoners available.
Gorilla would have had to actually have the Fate's Call to start it, and he didn't have Unstoppable, his ultimate available, Unbreakable Will, to actually get through the fight, so probably smart of them to back away.
Peanut's thinking about it. Max still doesn't have a splash. He's going to run into it. They have an opportunity here. Even Talia joining the mix, but we got a TP coming in from, it looks like, Ornn. Beyond now trying to go onto this. Talia does have the stopwatch available. Let's see if they can turn this around. The Sejuani ultimate comes out, and they do take out Beyond. Nice patience there from Kingzone to pick off that kill right at the end.
Yeah, a lot of patience from both sides. You might have wondered, why was Sejuani still in lane? The big thing for Sejuani is she wanted to help Prey to actually push in the wave and back, because Maha has teleport from the unsealed spellbook. So worried about Maha just teleporting and getting a pretty big back, an advantageous back over his opponent, but eventually it turned into aggression, and Kingzone won that one. And speaking of aggression, we're doing it again.
Yeah, they're not done here.
Oh,
Only
baby.
Maha has the flash, but what an engage now from Gorilla. They should get Max. The question is, can they get Maha? Looks like it, as we do have Rascal come in from the top lane. Just TPing in for another kill. Make that a double now for BDD.
Really nice return gang from Kingzone. We don't often see this. Usually everyone goes and buys their stuff and gets over it, but no, Kingzone keep their finger on the trigger. Gorilla desperately didn't want to use his flash or ultimate earlier. You see why, because second time around, they're able to take advantage of the teleport down. We're going to watch the replay of the first engagement. Really nice ultimate from BDD to cut off. Had also the stopwatch to decrease the aggro. All of this from Peanut, just wanting to help his team push out their lane. Was teleport on the Cockmore during that, by the way. Unfortunately, the replay client doesn't have the updated summoners from the spell book there, and then Maha came back down to lane and died again. So, or at least was involved in another series of deaths, so feels bad there.
I was watching a little bit of Ian Zoe in the fight. I'm still not convinced. People say that Zoe is really overpowered, especially in solo queue. Once you get hit by the one big paddle star, you're just like, well, that's not fair, right? That was my first reaction, at least. And I don't know, I'm not convinced, right? It's still a very hard champion to play at the highest level and to be very effective. And so far, Ian hasn't convinced me as one of the guys that can really pull it off. Those guys like Edge have.
I think Zoe balanced a really interesting thing to talk about, because the Zoe playstyle and the play patterns of her are strongest. Let's talk about Zoe when she's dead again.
Let's talk about Zoe death here in the mid lane. No way you're getting out of this one.
So Zoe's strength, which seems like a weird thing to talk about as she dies, is the fact that if you're in that lane for a long time as Talia against Zoe, and your jungler has control of the enemy jungle, your side lanes are even, Zoe does a lot. You know, if you're in a sieging situation where you have Baron buff and the Zoe team has the Baron buff, you're going to rain down hell and delete people. And I think the numbers still do need to be tweaked. But the thing you can tell about champions like Galio and Talia is you go elsewhere, the roam from Zoe is not going to be as strong. Doesn't have a global chance to use teleport. That means she doesn't have another summoner. Her teleport might be down. Zoe, if she's controlling the pace of the game, if her team is winning and has vision control, is oppressive. But Zoe from behind, with champions like, with all the fights happening in areas that aren't the mid lane, Zoe really does find it difficult to contribute, like a lot of champions do. It's the reason why in Korea, from week one, we didn't see Zoe picked up ban in KSV versus Kingzone. Ryze was higher priority. Now we see Galio higher priority. The ability to play side lanes and rotate versus a champion that wants blue buff and to be in mid lane, and for all the action to kind of play around her, that's already multiple things. Orianna's the same, and we don't see Orianna either.
Yeah.
And it just feels like the ability to play the map, which Kingzone is so good at, it's not really the sort of scenario where you're going to get the most value out of Zoe. And also when your team is significantly worse than the enemy team, the Zoe's going to look pretty ordinary as well.
Yeah. I think about other top tier picks from the mid lane as well. You think about Azir and Malzahar. They don't have tons of map pressure, but they have big parts of their kit are very strong in other places, right? Like the R-click suppress from Malzahar.
Yeah, Malzahar is very reliable in the mid lane, where Zoe is, of course, situational. When you come to gank from Malzahar, you know what to expect. And Azir does everything. You know, he has the...
He's basically a god.
He's a god of mid lane in that he has the passive, he has scaling, he has a good one-item power spike. The list of things Azir does well is as long as the list of things that you can really talk about. And the fact that he does so many things, so his flexibility and late game are the reasons why he's Pride. Zoe is still very strong, but because the use cases aren't as reliable, teams in Korea have been up and down on her.
Yeah. We'll probably see more of her. I don't think after this series, teams are going to be like, oh, she's not strong. And I don't think any of you guys should think that as well. And
don't draw your balance numbers from MVP series, is all I'm going to say.
Especially MVP versus King Zone. We had a bit of a scramble up here in the enemy jungle. Not much going on, though. As looks like the Sejuani ultimate did go wide.
Gorilla's one of the few to go into the Hex Flash, especially on the Alistair. BD's coming for a ride.
Well, Hextech Ultimatum does get the knock-up onto BDD, which is kind of impressive.
Tries to predict it.
Yeah, did try to predict it. Rascal gets low, and at least he is going to trade the kill back. We got Zoe on the chase now, BDD not realizing it for a while. And actually just turns around towards the Zoe. So 1-for-1, Rascal going a little bit too far deep.
Nice attempt at the predict by BDD, but information available to ADD turns it around. And ADD's had the best series of any MVP player by far in this particular one. Sadly, not to any real relevance. They're going to lose the mid lane turret as well. Might wonder why Ian didn't try to just assassinate the Taliyah, but that's because Sejuani was in vision shadowing the Taliyah, so nothing to happen there. 100% gank rate so far. That's pretty good. With the side of Peanut. Looking at the map, both junglers kind of been equally present. A bit of a push up by a Beyond around the enemy red side jungle. But Peanut hasn't had too much to do and still has found himself with around 50% kill participation.
Prey is still doing this, Rift Herald. Okay, decides against it towards the end. I guess he was just delaying some of the timings here of MVP. We got an engage now up in the top lane, getting onto Max here. Prey will not be able to follow up as Peanut also backs away.
We live to fight another day. Do MVP already in a massive gold hole, almost 5,000 gold at 16 minutes. Orin is doing his best down bot lane, but allowing free farm to Rascal on the Camille. Already Trinity Force strong in this game, so the teleport gank is going to be the possibility soon for Rascal. There's going to be the delayed start on the Rift Herald as they turn onto Ian.
Another thing about Zoe, she doesn't have too much mobility in terms of escapes, and you get her flash out, you might have an opportunity, is going to use her ultimate to try to get out of dodge, and finally the Cosmic Radiance comes in. Follow-up Trouble Bubble onto Sejuani, but they cannot follow up from there.
Yeah, Ian dodges into the Cosmic Radiance, was armed onto Maha and lives. Bot lane, these trades are going to start to really hurt for ADD. Yep.
Oh, nicely timed. And we got BDD even coming on in. Let's see if he can make another miracle happen. This time not the case, as Rascal and BDD 2v1ing to pick up the kill.
Yeah, need a couple of miracles there. Might have been able to turn around the 1v1 and live, but the 1v2 wasn't going to happen. Kingzone also in the top side, pushing away relentlessly. They actually just turn on to Beyond. So much damage.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Does get the sweep, but that is a Jarvan, has an escape. Does get away. Meanwhile, top turret's going down. BD just having his run around the map, going bot a couple of times. Was hovering around top as well. Rascal just leaves, as they do have a very nice deep ward to spot whenever anyone comes to defend.
Struck by the fact that when MVP fall behind, you think back to Jin Air game earlier this week, get rolled by Teddy and friends. In this game, they do fold like a pack of cards when the lanes start to get in a difficult spot. Kingzone have been good, but unfortunately MVP really don't seem inventive. ADD alone, trying to turn around things, has done well, but Maha and Max out-pressured and out-roamed by Prey, and Gorilla, who hasn't been in laning phase for more than about 5 minutes this game. Taliyah and BDD's roams have been a delight. BDD definitely the star of this series. But, you know, Ian has kind of been probably the biggest question mark on the side of MVP. I feel like he's the one who gets the most questioning looks from his teammates and also from most of the fans who really are quizzical about him on champions that aren't Syndra. You'd love to point to a second champion he's performed on, but I'm not sure I can.
That's really the key, what you mentioned, the Syndra. We are going to have this fight turn around. ADD is going to knock up Peanut, but now they're kind of caught here up against the wall. A fantastic Fates call to send in the Alistar and stop the disengage here. Cogmaw gets lined up as well. One last auto attack from downtown is going to take out the Cogmaw. And
Beaty's in the base.
This is just unbelievable. They're going to ace him at this point. We'll see if Ian can even get away. He's trying to make a miracle happen and get a kill. At this point, nothing going to work for them. An ace entirely, as all hope of MVP winning a game in this series looks to be gone.
Fellas, they aced them between the inner and inhibitor turrets at 19 minutes, with both those turrets raining down on multiple members. BD's flashing into the enemy base as Talia. That is about as done as a game can be. Rascal with Trinity Force, gonna kill a turret. This game is in silly season, pre-20 minutes. We are at the 20-minute mark. Teams don't surrender in competitive, but unfortunately MVP's week 2 is another white flag.
Yeah, just only bad feels on the side of MVP. I really do feel bad for them, right? They showed so much promise in the past, but really this season, nothing seems to be working for them, and especially this series highlighted against Kingzone, one of the more dominant teams. When they get ahead, they know how to end, as you mentioned before, and they're really ending the hopes of MVP in this series. You go down 0-8 in the beginning of a season, you're not going to feel good. I don't care what sport it is.
And, you know, we saw it coming. It's kind of the weird thing is that when you heard that MVP was going to make a roster change, I think a lot of people thought, substitute mid laner for Ian. It ended up being a like-for-like AD carry move. I've already talked about my opinions of Pilot and Maha in this series already. So that's kind of something to talk about there, is that they didn't strengthen when they needed to strengthen. Other teams have, and I'm not convinced the 5 members here can avoid relegation. I haven't had a chance to watch too much of Challenger doing so much casting, but I'd be surprised if MVP were a level above the top of Challenger right now.
I'd have to agree. I mean, the reason why we can say that is because compared to so many of the other teams, right, we said this before, SKT is the closest team to them. And all the other teams that were near the bottom, right, like Rox and BBQ, they're all stepping up, whereas MVP are not. We'll see if we can actually get a kill here. He's going to trade 1 for 1 as the Tarek, with the redemption, gets the kill.
Rascal could have altered through a lot of different abilities there, but allowed himself to get stunned up under the turret. Just had to sidestep the E, and he would have been able to outplay the second part of the ult, but end up just looking silly. Well, it's another feel-good moment, I guess, for MVP.
Oh, you gotta go for whatever you can get at this point, I suppose. Cosmic Radiance comes down, just a delaying tactic at this point, as they are just beating down on the inhibitor here, pushing on in. Well, we've seen Ian on a lot of different champions. I'd like to see him go through the entire list of them and see what he can find success on. We've seen Azir twice, Ryze twice, Talia and Malzahar once each. And now we're seeing 2 games of Zoe. And so far, nothing has been convincing, Papa.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Ian. You know, he has played a lot of games, 162 games as a professional, as Maha's dead.
They're just like playing with their food right now. They could be pushing, but they don't want to. They want more kills. They want to boost their stats. They want to get as many kills as possible. That's going to add 3 more to the tally.
We're almost kill a minute action here in the LCK.
It's unbelievable. That's like one good thing at the end of all this, I suppose. You can call it a good thing. Okay, he disappeared. Gorilla picks up the kill. Ornn, kind of ornery, by himself down in the bottom lane, going 1v5. And now they'll just wait for the last of the super minions to come in, and I don't know what to tell you guys. It's going to be the quickest series of all of LCK 2018 Spring so far, as they look to play with their food even more and pick up as many kills as possible. Beyond's now going to jump on in, but he's going to get stunned up by the Sejuani eventually. Taken out by Prey. Let's boost his stats a little bit. Gorilla trading for some more kills for his team. What a bro. And that's going to be the 2-0 here from Kingzone. Kind of what we expected, but this was very, very dominant.
23-44 was when the Nexus exploded. By far the